Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about updates in GPO because the last few updates in GPO have been a bit weird to me. Like the last 4 in particular have been extremely weird. And I don't mean in content wise. I know they've been lacking in content. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that. But I mean like the type of content that they've brought to the game. That's what I mean. So before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that sub button. Trying to hit 5K by the end of the month. Be sure to drop a like in the video. Let's get straight into it. Alright, so let's talk about the updates themselves. So I know the last couple updates, like I said before, have lacked in content, but that's not really what I want to talk about because I'm pretty sure most people have talked about that to no end. What I'm mainly talking about is what the content is about in the last 4 updates. And what I mean by that is none of like the last 4, except for update 4, but the other 3, which is ELO update, the Halloween update, and the Christmas update, none of those are canon. Like canon to One Piece itself, and I don't really understand why they're making so many non-canon updates. Like for example, ELO, why, like they added the bunny from ELO Island is technically in One Piece, like the bunny itself is on Drum Island, but the weapon he drops is nowhere to be found in One Piece. Like there's no ELO hammer in One Piece. Same thing with the Halloween Island, same thing for the Christmas Island. Especially for this update, the Christmas update, this is completely non-canon. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with non-canon, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it because no matter what anime game you make, eventually you're going to get caught up to where the anime is and you're eventually going to be forced to make non-canon updates. So I actually like the fact that GPO started early with the non-canon things so that they have more canon things to do later. But the amount of non-canon things in the game right now is insane to me. For example, let's look at the weapons. There are 6 canon weapons and 9 non-canon weapons, which is Elo Hammer, Flowers, Festival Lancer, Festival Shield, Scythe, Dagger, Flowers, Greatsword, and Crab Colors. Now, these are all great weapons. These are all great non-canon weapons. But there shouldn't be, in my opinion, there shouldn't be more non-canon weapons than canon weapons. Now, I will give them this though. Technically, all the guns, like all the guns in the game, are canon. But the guns, no one uses guns in the end game, like nobody. There's no such thing as a gun user in the end game, which they said something about that in the Discord. I think they said they're gonna add a gun fighting style or buff guns, one of the two. So they are working on that, so I'll leave that alone. But the weapons, like the melee weapons themselves, they're more non-canon than canon. And that's due to the fact that simply the recent updates have all been non-canon, so they're gonna add non-canon weapons. Even update 4, for example, even though the main attraction, which was Alabasta, is very much canon, that's a very massive arc in One Piece, the end game content, which is mainly the bosses, there's one main boss, which is Crocodile, which he has great drops, you know, his G-Hook and his cape, those are all canon. But the other 2 bosses, which is the Crab King and the Kraken, are non-canon items, and they both drop, once again, non-canon items, which is the Crab Crown and the Crab Cutlass, and Kraken drops end game tiered armor, which is the Kraken armor, which if you don't have at the end game, you're basically like you're selling at that point. And the Greatsword is a fantastic weapon once again, but it's not canon. And I don't really understand why they keep adding so much non-canon things. Like they can add pseudo non-canon, which is like the candy cane. The candy cane is like a perfect example of how to add like a pseudo non-canon because it's based off of something in One Piece. It's based off of Brook's Soul Cane, but it isn't the Soul Cane, it's a candy cane, which is themed after winter, which is great. They can do that with all the other weapons, which I think they kind of did that with the Scythe actually, because it's a Halloween themed Scythe and there's Scythes in One Piece, so I'll give them that one. But all the other weapons are just completely non-canon and made up like on the spot, which is weird because I don't understand why they're doing this, because One Piece is probably one of the only animes where you can pull this like a vast amount of content for a game. Like the only other game I can think of that can do that is probably Naruto or Dragon Ball. That's it. So the fact that Foyu picked such a massive anime to pick from for like a massive amount of content, and he's adding so much non-canon content, doesn't really make sense to me. Now, the last couple updates, I do think that the devs were time constrained. I do think they were working on update 5, trying to get that as ready as possible, as quick as possible. And then they just kind of cooked up these events last minute, just to like, okay, here's a Halloween event, here's a Christmas event, here you guys go, like, you know. And also the anniversary event was in there as well. So I do think they have a lot of events lately, like very time constrained events. So I'll give them the credibility of that. Like I'll give them leeway for making the updates the way they are. Like the way the content is kind of lacking, but the content itself I don't think should be the way it is. I feel like they should add a little bit more canon things. Like for example, why was the Halloween update not Thriller Bark? Like I'm pretty sure everyone was confused why it's Transylvania instead of Thriller Bark. Even if they don't add like quote unquote Thriller Bark for copyright issues, they can still add a pseudo island to it, which Transylvania had nothing to do with Thriller Bark except for the zombies. But other than that, nothing, completely nothing. Same thing for the Christmas island. They could have added Drum Island to the game. You know, have the mountain peak and go on the top of the mountain and go fight Krampus up there. Like that would have made more sense than to hop on Santa's sleigh and go to some random island to fight a boss in a cave. I feel like that would have made a little more sense, and I feel like it's easier to build as well. You just make a town at the bottom and a giant mountain, which is very easy to build, and at least for capable GPO devs like they are. So that's my opinion on the updates. I do think they should add a little more canon things. I know like I think they saved the canon stuff for the bigger updates, but I do think the event updates should have more pseudo canon, like how the candy cane was. I feel like that was like the best example I could have gave for pseudo canon. So I do think they should add more stuff like that. But yeah, just want to come here and talk about that. If you guys did enjoy the video, once again, be sure to like. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.